And I'm very excited as always. Well, the festivities are here and we just want to understand what angle Kenyans are taking through this time. Is it the laws that are not there, but I hear Kenya has very good laws, yeah? Is it the enforcement and implementation that is going wrong? Is it the attitude or behavior of those particular road users that is still putting us at a very bad place when it comes to road safety? This morning, I am very excited. I am very confident in this conversation with Mr. David Kahara, and he is an independent trainer. And I like the fact that he comes out to one of those people who come out strongly to say, I am passionate about road safety, so I will take the personal initiative to do what I do. You have met him before, and today we're looking at different angles, super different. And for one reason or another, you might feel attacked. Eventually, after feeling attacked, we hope that you actually make the changes you need to make. Talk to us at Look Up TV on Twitter, Look Up TV on Facebook, and later on our YouTube channel, in case you missed this, we also have this just for you to be able to catch up with the road safety tips. Thank you very much, sir, for creating time. It's such an honor.
Thank you, Anki, and I'm very honored for you to host me again, the Look Up TV. Good morning, viewers. Yeah.
It's such an honor because a lot of people right now are either scared or unsure about using the roads. And mostly, let's just start by, acknowledging that we don't get a lot of accidents on the SGR and in the air as much as we do on our roads.
On the roads, yeah, because a lot of people, there's a lot of concentration on the roads. If you look at all the stakeholders that are involved with the transport road network, and of course it really affects each and every person wherever we are, as pedestrians, as passengers, as motorists, as public transport operators, everybody, one or the other, it will touch somebody.
And I think the air is pretty much on their own, if not for the jets. And now here we have motorists, cyclists, pedestrians, pillions. It's just everybody is involved. And now we
School children, very vulnerable.
Animals.
Yes, animals too.
So this is really a wide discussion.
Yes.
And today, when Mr. Worotet was here and the other people who have also been on set, we've talked about, common mistakes we make.
Yes.
These are actual mistakes we make as drivers, defensive driving, the casualties and injuries we get, fatalities. And we have discussed that in depth, but we have not gone deeper into discussing what if the underlying issues could be behaviors and attitudes.
Yeah, the culture. Let's
call
it the culture.
Yes. We're talking about the impact of the driving culture on road safety.
Yeah, on road safety.
When we talk about the driving culture, let's just bring us up to speed on why we call it a driving culture before we even look at the key bad attitudes, because we're not even going to look at the good attitudes. We've always been the bad attitudes that we have as bad driving culture on the roads.
Okay, when we look at the definition of the word culture encompasses the knowledge acquired, in order to interpret a certain type of experience, which then translates into behavior. So a culture defines a group of people. And like we've mentioned, road safety touches on all of us, whether we're drivers, pedestrians, school children, authorities. It touches on every stakeholder. So one of the things which we talk about a culture in terms of driving, we have good culture and we have bad culture. So even in our social circles, in our communities, the culture you have might be different from the culture from my tribe. And we have got good things about our culture, and we also have negative. Let's say not bad, but we have negative. For instance, if we look at FGM, it's not a good culture, but it is there in some communities. Likewise, in road safety, we have good culture and bad cultures. But what is really bad is the bad behaviors that we have, which define a bad road culture. Now, let us look at which culture, which aspects, what are the factors that contribute to this. Number one, we have arrogant and aggressive drivers. Remember when you talk about defensive driving, which Mr. Worotet spoke in technical details and very deep. But in terms of defensive driving, we look at this, my safety and the safety of others.
Actually,
The
he says
opposite of
5
that-
more.
Yes.
Yes.
The opposite of defensive driving is offensive driving, which comes from aggressiveness. We have an aggressive attitude when we come to the road. When I'm home, I'm a very good husband and a wonderful father to my kids. But the moment I get inside my vehicle and I get into the road, I become someone very different. Another aspect of this behavior is anger. Anger contributes a lot. And that's why we have instances of road rage on our roads because of anger.
Yes.
So I'm driving very peacefully, very nicely, and somebody cuts me in. It triggers a reaction. Why did he cut me in? I'm also going to the office. I could be late as well, but I'm keeping to my lane and I'm following the traffic. But when this person cuts me in, then it triggers anger. And this anger, if not controlled, is what develops into a road rage. The other thing is that contributes to this bad driving culture. There are many facets. One of them we've said is anger.
Yes.
The other one is lack
Arrogance.
of arrogance. The other one is lack of following proper rules.
All right.
As we were trained in driving school. If we do not follow rules, if I do not do proper journey management when I'm leaving the house,
Plan.
what will I be doing? I was supposed to go to Langata, but I find myself on the outer lane, or sorry, on the inner lane instead of the outer lane, when I'm just 10 meters from the roundabout. It will force me to cut through the other motorists. So imagine that kind of behavior. My way when I'm cutting the other motorists,
Yes.
someone may not see my action because
Yes.
they assume when I'm changing lanes, I should have already been on my correct lane. So there's a chance there could be a collision. So that is in terms of private drivers.
Yes.
When we come to the matatus,
The public service
the public
vehicles.
service
Yes.
vehicles, both passengers and the crews and the owners of these matatus are culprits
All right.
of bad culture. Number one, if I'm a matatu owner,
Yes.
do I vet the person I'm employing? Do I know what kind of a person he is? Is he a person who is easily irritated? If it's a conductor, is it a person who will rudely talk to the passengers?
Yes.
You know, if it's a driver, is it a driver who will risk the lives of passengers by driving badly? We do, as vehicle owners, we do not vet. And the importance of vetting, if you get a good driver who will take good care of your vehicle, then your asset is protected. It's not put at risk of an accident. So those are some of the examples of these bad behaviors we have on the road. And like we said, it cuts across board.
Yes.
When you look at pedestrians, we are,
Oh, yes.
as we're walking on the roads, what do? I can see a zebra crossing.
Yes.
5 meters away from where I am, but I will want to cross where the zebra crossing is not.
Absolutely.
I'll see
A footbridge.
a footbridge. I don't want to use a footbridge. I want to cross under the footbridge, and the vehicles, again, another bad culture, speeding. Within the city environment, the allowed maximum speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour. You'll find, because of our bad culture, I'm rushing home, I'm at 120 kilometers per hour, going down to Tawala. And this pedestrian is crossing under the bridge. As a motorist, I know that's a footbridge. I do not expect a pedestrian to be crossing under the footbridge. What happens? We meet in the middle, and it's a crash, a life is lost, or there is injury,
Yes.
there is damage to property. Maybe I'll try swerving, hit the pavement and guardrails. It's damage to the vehicles, and it creates a lot of inconvenience. Also,
Mr. David
Yes,
Kahara,
yes.
when you talked about the passenger, there's also
Yes.
something we've seen a lot in the news. And
Yes.
that's why I think the footbridge was brought.
Yes.
Mr. Warchet has said this before as well.
Yes, yes.
The habit of running
yeah,
across the road. I know
Across
you
the
said
road,
that
yeah.
crossing,
Yes.
but we have seen so many passengers
Yes.
run
Run.
across the road.
I'll tell you why. When we look at the training,
Yes.
and training is regulated by the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA. The training they've only concentrated on, unlike we're looking at who are the stakeholders in road safety and what is their attitude towards making driving a worthwhile experience. So when you look at the NTSA and the training, they've only concentrated on driver training.
Okay.
This training should encompass even even pedestrians. How should I cross the road? Where should I cross the road? Which way should I run? Should I walk? Now, a good thing you've also brought up, as motorists, the other very bad behavior that we have is we do, like I said when we were starting, following the highway code and regulations. When as a motorist, I see that there's a pedestrian crossing, what should I do? There's a way in which I'm trained to approach a pedestrian crossing, whether there is a pedestrian crossing or not. I should slow down. If there's a pedestrian, I should stop.
All right.
If there's no pedestrian, it's safe to go, I can proceed. So all those aspects, since we are not following what is the proper way of behaving ourselves on the roads, they create a situation where we get accidents and incidents.
You've mentioned how people are trained to approach
Yes.
the pedestrian crossing.
Yes.
However, you're talking about the drivers slowing down and stopping, but we
Yes.
see cases where it's antagonistic
Yes.
against the pedestrian and the motorist, to the point where they're either hooting
Yes.
at the pedestrian.
That's another bad culture,
Yes.
bad behavior. Hooting is only supposed to be used to warn, but you find in our daily driving, we use hooting as a way of
Intimidating.
expressing, intimidating, expressing anger, you know, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So that's what some of the cultures, some of the bad behaviors that contribute towards accidents, and which we can avoid if, as all stakeholders, we change attitude. We have a positive attitude. We have an attitude that if I'm David and I'm driving, I'll be considerate of the other driver who wants to come in front of me, and I will not force him to cut into me. If I can see we have pedestrians who want to cross, let me approach the pedestrian crossing based on what I've been trained.
All right.
Let me take you back to a very pet subject
All right.
that is always mentioned about the number of certified drivers that my friend Otet keeps mentioning. Someone was asking me, who are these drivers?
Yes.
Who are they? Is it a story you just create, just to create hype? But these people, they exist. And these people are trained from our disciplined forces institutions. There are some companies which invest on driver training
Okay.
in terms
All right.
of increasing their skills and knowledge, and which makes, if one is a good driver, then as an employer, I know my lorry is with a good person, and when it leaves the factory to do deliveries, in the evening I should expect it to come back without any incidents or fear. So some institutions have acknowledged or recognized that good driver training translates to a lot of benefits.
All right.
And that trickles to the general overall economy of the country. So actually, these 2,000 qualified certified drivers,
Less
they
than.
do exist.
All right.
Consider the number that comes from the disciplined forces, like I've said,
Okay.
the organizations that take time to retrain their drivers,
Yeah.
and even as an individual, you can improve your driving skills.
All right.
And that is through taking courses like defensive driving, advanced driving courses,
Okay.
and which is open to anyone. Let us come back to the National Transport and Safety Authority.
Yeah, I want us to go there, and I know
Yes.
you've started going into the recommendations,
Yes,
but we're still
yes.
looking at the
Yes.
bad cultures.
Yes,
You've
yes.
touched on the pedestrians, the
Yeah.
motorists, the hooting, and
Yes.
some even hooting at animals.
Exactly. It
Hooting
doesn't
at
make
children,
sense. Yeah.
and of course that has been a concern.
Yes.
However, you haven't touched on the role of the police.
Very
Because
good. Let
these
me
are
ask you a
people that
question.
have been put on hashtags on Twitter,
Yes, yes.
have been interrogated.
Yes,
I don't know what you have to say about
Okay,
that.
let me ask you, we're discussing about
The bad culture.
and behavior,
Yes.
especially the bad culture. So when we mention traffic police, what comes into your mind? What is the first thing that comes into your mind?
Maybe I would ask that to the viewer.
Yes.
When we say police and we're trying to talk about bad culture on the road,
yes.
what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Let us know in the comment section.
Exactly.
What is the first thing that strikes your mind? Yeah, and then we can read that as we continue
Yes.
with the show. But you can
To
continue,
make it
sir.
easier for everyone, let me tell you,
Yes.
and I've been driving for the past 20 years without an incident or accident. And because of defensive driving and appreciating that there are rules which govern us,
Congratulations.
the first thing that will come into anyone's mind when you mention traffic police officers, unfortunately not only in Kenya, even because it's an international show,
Yes.
even in other parts of Africa and the world at large, corruption, bribery, that's the first thing. The person who is supposed to enforce the rules is a person who will break those rules by taking a bribe, because David has jumped a traffic light, and the fine for that, if proper procedure is followed, could be somewhere towards 10,000,
Okay.
5,000, whatever, and this person may take 50 shillings. That is the minimum they take on the roads from matatus, 50 shillings to 200 shillings.
Is this?
And you know what that does to the effect it has on the traffic department?
Yes.
Loss of income that can be used to improve road safety.
All right.
Because if I'm a police officer, I'm taking 200 shillings on the road, and this motorist was clearly on the wrong by failing to obey the highway code, and is supposed to be penalized. That fine should go towards improving even their salaries. So I'm taking 200 and losing 10,000 for the department. It doesn't augur well, it doesn't make sense.
All right.
So as a result, motorists have lost confidence with the police force,
Okay.
the traffic police force, because of that bad culture. Unfortunately, it is the only one that I can think of.
Okay.
If that could change, of course, we'll get into that. If it
Because
could
we are
change.
actually very
Yes.
positive and solution oriented. We are
Exactly.
hoping that
Yeah,
so
because
far
this
there has
show,
been change.
the aspect of the show is
Yes.
what are the problems,
And what are the
how can we
solutions?
mitigate them, what solutions can we suggest. And when I was at the launch of the Usalama Barabarani campaign by EU/NTSA, we had a chat with the DG, and he was telling us that they are not blind. They actually go through the social media, the various handles they have,
Okay.
and they get to read the feedback they get from Wananchi. Now, let me bring back an outlook of the whole of this thing.
Yes.
As passengers, pedestrians, and the public at large, we have also created a situation of tolerance. And this tolerance makes it seem like a bad behavior is normal. It normalizes because we tolerate.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we lost about 35 lives over the weekend. There was an accident in Malindi. There was an accident, I think, somewhere in Nyamira. And it involved public transport, and these were head-on collisions. And we're continuing to lose lives. And the authorities like NTSA and other road safety, they take these statistics and they display the statistics, either in their reporting and so
Yes.
forth. But beyond that, what steps do they take?
Absolutely.
You know.
Now, when we're talking about the steps, I know
Yes.
we are almost running out of time.
Exactly,
It
yes,
is
yes.
something that we can never get tired
Yeah.
of talking about.
Yes, yes.
The late Michuki,
Yeah.
during his tenure, and may his
Yes.
soul continue to rest in peace.
Exactly.
Tried to bring in certain measures which were actually made law.
Yes.
Buckling up, having your seatbelt on, and all
Yes.
matatus were actually ordered to have their seatbelts fixed
Yes.
and properly
Identity
functional.
of the matatus by introducing the yellow line.
Absolutely, taxis
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
There was the speed governor,
Yes, there was a speed governance.
among other things. And we would ask ourselves as Kenyans, that attitude of Kenyans is
Yes.
this would pick up and
Yes.
things were done and
Yes,
the police
yes,
were on the
yes,
roads.
yes.
And suddenly it just fails.
Yes.
And now you get into a matatu and the seatbelt is there but it's not
Yeah,
functioning.
yeah, it's not functioning.
So I don't know, why do
yeah.
you think all these things, it's not like we don't have good laws.
Yes.
They're brought in place,
Yes.
but they either fail
Yes.
or maybe we just forget. So I don't know what you have to say.
Okay, what I have to say, and it's a very good study case, the Michuki rules. And there are two aspects when you want to do a paradigm shift on how things are done. You can have a new paradigm, you can have a paradigm shift. But it depends, how do I introduce it? You see, you can introduce a change. Instead of getting a positive benefit or results, it creates a rejection by the people you want to change. What happened when the introduction of those rules came in? The speed governors and safety belts cost money.
Yes.
Every matatu was required, the owner was required to have at least 75,000 shillings to 100,000 shillings.
Okay.
Most of these people, they live day to day. They don't have savings. And it was, if you notice, there was a dip in accidents.
Yes.
It's not because of the measures, the implementation. It was because vehicles were taken out of the transport system for them to be fitted with these implements. That is why there was a dip in accidents. But when they came back, the same level of accidents continued. Why? Because the implementation was not properly thought about, it was not properly implemented. We come back to the police.
All right.
Every time there is this kind of introduction of change, instead of supporting the authorities to implement and make sure it works, they take it as an opportunity to enrich themselves. How many of you viewers paid 500 shillings because you had not put on your safety belt? A police officer will just stop a vehicle, get inside a car and say, wewe na wewe na wewe hamjafunga mshipi, kwa nini? Shukeni chini. A culture that needs to change in terms of implementing and ensuring. It's not always we must take bribes as police officers. We can change that attitude to be able to bring a change to the society in terms of road safety.
I have, however, seen a lot of, amendments here and there in the police force.
Yes.
We've also seen a lot of, pass outs.
Exactly, yeah.
And we're looking at the police to actually join us on set very soon.
Yes.
A lot of fingers seem to be pointed at the police force, the traffic headquarters. If you're watching this morning, we're looking forward to actually having them on set.
Yes. They will come and respond.
Yes, they should come and respond.
They pick up these things.
Yes.
Yes.
And a lot of Kenyans are now asking, now you have said that we have had these things brought in place and they have failed.
Yes.
So how then can we make sure that we just don't have good laws, but all these mitigating measures are actually enforced and implemented? Because if you talk about the executive and someone is supposed to maintain law and order, and Kenyans themselves, I think they're also, like you said, the passengers, pedestrians, are embracing
because
the bad culture,
tolerance,
because of tolerance. What then can we do? What different thing can we do?
Okay, in terms of maybe mitigation, and it's awareness, and that's the reason there is this segment, the morning drift and the arrive alive. We need we need media to come in and invite people, road safety activists, invite these authorities, put them on the set, let the public ask them these tough questions and what we can do. There is a point I wanted to make about normalizing this bad culture and bad behavior, which is every day we're losing the same number of lives. As the public, why can't we come out and air or do peaceful demonstrations to see that we get the attention from the authorities to be able to change this. Yes, that is one thing.
All right.
Secondly, in terms of motorists, drivers, cyclists, and border operators, that's another section that is really, has really bad culture. The border operators.
All right.
And they've disrupted everything in terms of major cities
Okay.
in regards to road safety, because they are the people who do not follow any single rule, whether trained or not,
Oh, really?
in terms of road safety.
Okay.
The only people who are sane are the professional bikers.
Oh, okay.
But border operators, commercial border operators, they've really messed up the transport sector. And what can be done is we need to get the awareness that we are preaching out.
All right.
As the public, as road users, we need to be more sensitive, cognitive of these measures, these kind of talks we're having here, so that we create a kind of attitude that is positive, that is accommodative, that I'll be able to give you a way to pass instead of driving through.
Yes.
You're at a junction. So we need to change. I need to identify how does my anger affect me in an environment where I'm maybe probably provoked or I'm not happy with the action of the other person.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You know, when it comes to defensive driving, two broad things. Number one, keeping safety. I mean, keeping a safe distance between the people I'm driving around.
Yes.
And number two, awareness of the environment. So another very critical factor is distracted driving, use of mobile phones.
Oh, yes.
You know, eating in the car.
And now in the culture where we are
Yes.
all, tweeting, TikToking.
Exactly. Yeah.
And want to capture whatever is going on the road,
Well,
so we can
yes.
tweet at Mathiri
Yes.
Roads, at Kenya Traffic, at
Yes.
Nyanza,
Yeah,
at Road Safety and Safety Driving.
Yes. So now coming to the mitigating factors.
Yes.
Let us come to the mitigating factors now. Number one, of course, the authorities that are in the forefront on the receiving end is NTSA and the traffic department.
Okay.
NTSA have got very good resources. If you're a driver or a motorist, NTSA have got your mobile number.
Okay.
And they have an SMS platform. And the messages we get, unfortunately, is you've not renewed your car inspection. You get. There is this service we're introducing. They have not, if I'm not wrong, I've never read or received a message that will encourage me to drive safely on the roads, to arrive home safely from where I've come from. Especially at this period,
Yes.
at this festive season. Let me tell you, every day I'm a subscriber of various networks.
Okay.
I get 5 to 20 messages from these companies. Why can't the authorities use those platforms to send informative messages, even if not on a daily basis, but to remind Kenyans, this is your responsibility, because when you get into the car to drive on a road,
Yes.
you are carrying a lot of responsibility. It's not only about you.
All right.
It's about the next person. It's about the school-going child crossing the road. It's about the dog that will cross the road,
Yes.
the animals. We see cows. Nairobi county government. Why do we have livestock in Nairobi?
I think they will have to answer that.
Yeah, they'll have to answer that.
But what I want to appreciate, even as you go to the second mitigation because
Yes.
of time,
Yes,
is
yes.
that Usalama Barabarani is also an awareness program that has been started by the same authority we're talking
Yes.
about this morning.
Yes.
So we're looking at, them picking up as well, because we also hosted
Yeah.
the program's manager here the other time, and it was
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
And these
yeah,
things
it
you're
was,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
were
yeah.
at least Sasha.
Yeah. So all stakeholders
Yes,
get
should
an
actually
opportunity.
pick that.
Yes, yes.
The second one, maybe the third, fourth, even as we wrap up.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So in terms of the other great aspect, and which I'm very passionate about,
Yes.
is there is a basis for everything.
Yes.
And a good behavior will start at the foundation.
True.
Again, unfortunately, NTSA, They've got a very good curriculum. They've got very good programs in terms of driver training, motorcycles training, but it's not quality based.
Okay.
You know, the content is very good, but the dissemination of the training is a bit wanting. There's a lot of gaps. When driving schools train new drivers to pass the test and not to drive on the road, what does it tell you? So what these new drivers do, they pick up this bad culture, because when he goes to the road, he will copy the behavior of the experienced driver on the road. So if the driver is overtaking on a yellow line and I'm behind him, I'll follow him. That's what children do. They learn from what we do as adults. And similarly, that's the same thing. So we should enhance and improve driver training, so that when they come out now to drive on the live scenario, they have an idea of how should I behave. They should not copy what's happening. So like I've said, we need a shift from the current behavior to a new way of behavior. So like the Michuki rules were introduced, a drastic measure should be taken to introduce a campaign that will generate an attitude change, which will make our roads safe. The public needs to be aware that due to tolerance, we are continuing to lose lives. Let us intolerate these bad behaviors.
We are conforming, actually.
Yes.
And I like that you're talking about attitude. Attitude.
Exactly, yes.
We've had instances, just on a light note, where even on TikTok or Twitter, you see two drivers have just stopped.
Yes.
They're still arguing.
Yes.
So there's a traffic snarl up.
Yes.
On one lane and the opposite lane, and the other drivers behind them don't understand. But
what's going on?
What the clips I have seen says, Songa. Where's Songi?
Yes.
No, where's Songa?
Yeah.
Songi, Zima bas.
Zima. And switch off.
So that is what we are probably trying to bring out. Maybe we should do better.
So if I was one of those drivers, I will swallow my pride.
Okay.
And do the honorable thing to release the traffic.
Okay.
And also where we have accidents happening on major highways, unfortunately you will find that these behaviors, we will find them in major cities.
Okay.
In smaller towns, where traffic is not much, there is actually, you will not notice these problems. When we have a traffic accident, let's say along Mombasa Road, on the other side of the road, probably coming from Mlolongo towards town, and I'm driving towards Utawala, the motorists on the lane which doesn't have an accident will create a traffic jam.
All right.
What are they doing? They're stopping to look at the accident.
Okay.
You get?
That's
so
another behavior.
Why can't we change those behaviors and say, I don't need to, because it's being taken care of by the people on that side, let me not create unnecessary traffic that may create another accident, because someone will come zooming, not knowing vehicles have slowed down, and
And I really want to take this time, even as we wrap up, to appreciate you for such an in-depth, discussion around attitude and behaviors. And sometimes people just say, I'm just being a human being.
Yeah.
I'm just angry because it's natural for me to be angry. They do not realize what implication this has on road safety.
Yes.
And I want to shout out to Sikika drivers, watching, they're always watching, they're always supporting. BTMWO, Dan, was here the other time, very vocal as well, and brought a very amazing board here to just understand mistakes that motorists do.
He's very fond of that.
Yes.
He demonstrates with actions.
Yes.
He drives all the way to Makueni County to see where we have guardrails, where we don't have guardrails. The other day he brought us a bridge that did not have guardrails, and it was 30 meters. If you fell 30 meters, would you survive?
Yeah, that's
And
very hard.
you know, yeah.
So we
yes.
want to appreciate and watching all the way from Zambia. We have people watching from Malawi,
It has become
Somaliland.
international, yeah.
So we just want to shout out all of you who are watching this morning and thank you for your feedback. Joyce, all the way from South Africa. It's such amazing to have this audience this morning.
Yes.
However, usually it's a very short segment.
Yes.
But the fact that we've touched on it's not just the mistakes you do. It's not just the lack of indication.
Yes.
All these things are underlying issues, which is the foundation, and that is the behavior, which becomes a culture.
Yes.
And I hope that the mindsets can change.
Can change, yeah.
But maybe I'll give you a minute.
Yes.
To give your last remarks on the same.
Yes.
Because I know there's always a general close
sure.
to the show on attitude and behavior
Yes.
and their impact on road safety.
Okay, my closing remark would be this. To the motorists, the drivers who have traveled away to their counties to see their folks up country, when you're driving back, and if you're watching this, please take into account what we've discussed today about the attitude, have a positive attitude, drive back safely, follow the traffic rules. There are a lot of road constructions going on. There are rains in parts of our countries.
Festivities.
And we have, fortunately, a platform that is discussing and touching on all those aspects. And we believe that you'll get home safely and we will be able to enjoy the festive season together and have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
That's an early one.
Yes.
Remember, it is Arrive Alive, hashtag The Morning Drift. You're watching Look Up TV, and this segment runs every single day. This is just a Monday morning. How about Tuesday? We don't know what to expect tomorrow, but what we know for sure is when you leave your house and make that promise, Mr. Kahara and I here are hoping that you ultimately arrive alive at your destinations, whichever the destination it is, and still be there tomorrow morning to watch this segment.
Yes,
so have
a daily segment.
A daily segment.
Yes.
So have a beautiful day ahead. Enjoy yourselves. Let us know in the comment section the two questions we asked you. When you think of a policeman in this discussion, in this context, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Let us know in the comment section what comes to your mind.
Yes.
All right, we want to hear from you. And also we want the police to, of course, respond to you. Because each, like you said, the stakeholders play a part.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the feedback. So are the ambassadors on road safety. Until tomorrow, same place, same time, keep it. Hashtag The Morning Drift. The show is still continuing. And we'll be right back after this break.